beautiful souls, and welcome to the Truth Bible Study. My name is Elsa, and I'm so excited to dive in with you today on one of the most misunderstood yet important verses of the Bible, and that is Matthew 38 through 42. Let's dive right in. Okay, so this is the eye for eye passage. It states that you have heard that it was said, eye for eye and tooth for tooth. But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the other cheek also. And if anyone wants to sue you and take your shirt, hand over your coat as well. If anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2 miles. Give to the one who asks you, and do not turn away from the one who wants to borrow from you. Okay, so what does this mean? I'm going to break it down for you line by line. But first, let's get a little context. So in the first line, you have heard that it was said eye for eye and tooth for tooth. So right now, Jesus is referring to the Old Testament at the time when the Jewish people were leaving Egypt after slavery to enter their 40-year pilgrimage in the desert. Now, keep in mind, during this time, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, this was essentially Mosaic law. This was part of Exodus 21 when essentially Moses was giving a set of civility for the people, because at this time, you can imagine they're very restless. They're about to go into the desert, and all of a sudden someone does something bad to them. They're like, well, I'm going to do something worse to you. No. What God said in the Old Testament was you can do something of equality, not excess. So you can match them. If they did something, you can match them to that extent. So that's what the Old Testament says. Jesus is using eye for eye, this passage, to completely turn this Exodus 21 first law on its head and say, okay, now we said before that we were going to have essentially a little bit of revenge, but justice, equality. He's not saying injustice is fine now. He's saying it is time to transform the soul through love. Let's dive in. The next line, it says, but I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the other cheek also. Jesus is not telling you to bow down. It is not telling you to submit to people. No. Jesus is telling us to be godly in everything we do. And in turn, when someone slaps you on your cheek, you offer your other cheek because you're not stooping down to their level. You will not do ungodly things because they did something to you. What's so interesting too is in this line specifically, Jesus is telling us when someone hits you with this negative energy, this whiplash, whatever, just something we don't want to experience, when we're hit with that, since we are God's children, we will suffer. Listen to this. We will suffer because that energy ends with us. We will not retaliate back. Listen to this. Because we love back. When you retaliate back, you're just keeping that negative energy going. But when you suffer, you catch it and you dissolve it and you transmute it into love. I know, oh my gosh, y'all. Okay, let's dive into the next line. And if anyone wants to sue you and take your shirt, hand over your coat as well. Little historical context here. Back in these times when it was written, your coat, or in other words, your cloak, was a necessity for your survival. Your cloak was what kept you warm at night. It is what kept you essentially alive. And he's saying if someone is suing you for your shirt, give them your cloak, your most important material possession. Because as God's children, we do not value material possessions over God. And what's so interesting, if someone tries to take from you, let them. Let them. In the sense of, you have no attachment to things. It's not saying give up all your things. No, it's saying you are able to give up things because you're not attached to them. And last but not least, if anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2 miles. Another historical context here. Back when the time this was written, when the Romans were in control, they could force Gentiles and Jewish people to carry their equipment if they saw them in just like traveling. They could force them to carry their equipment for up to a mile. And then they'd have to take their equipment, their helmets and stuff back. But Jesus is saying if someone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2. Choose to go 2, because when you choose to go 2 miles, instead of 1, which you were forced to, you step back into your power. You step back into your power and you take that control. Okay, and this is last but not least. Give to the one who asks you, and do not turn away from the one who wants to borrow you. Another historical context here. So back in the days, people were very stingy, especially taxes were high with the Roman Empire. It was a very tumultuous time. And especially with money, when people needed money, everyone was like, nope, this is my money, not yours. So Jesus is saying, since we do have non-attachment to money, if someone asks to borrow, help them in their time of need, because you are helping Jesus. When you choose to help someone, whether they have a lot, whether they have a little, doesn't matter. You are helping Jesus. How you treat others is how you are treating Jesus, how you are treating God, because we are all God's children. And so that is Matthew 38 through 42. But I also just want to take a moment here, because this is a huge verse, because let's think about it. 1,200 to 1,400 years ago, Exodus 21 was written, saying the law from God to keep us in order. But now, flash forward to when Jesus was giving his Sermon on the Mount, he's telling us to love. So we're evolving from this law to love. We're evolving from control, external control, to internal transformation. It is so powerful, y'all. Oh my goodness. And it's so wild too, because when you actually apply these values, what does that look like? Because I know, okay, if someone says something mean to you, like let's think, for example, I know when I was growing up, I was always told, if you have a bully in school, if anyone ever has a bully in school, if they ever say something mean to you, don't give them any energy. Do not feed into it. Because when you don't give them any energy, you take the suffering. That enemy, that bully, no longer can feed on your energy. And they lose motivation to taunt you, to torment you. In the same way, whenever someone is like doing something mean to you, if you just, okay, you do you, I'm gonna do me. I follow God. I keep my eyes on God. I don't keep my eyes on you. That's another thing, eye for eye. It's saying here, when you choose to stay at your place, you don't lower to anyone else for revenge, to fight back. No. Road rage, you don't honk back. No, because you are in that moment, your eyes are on God. It's not on everything happening around you. No. And that's what will give you internal peace. When you keep your eyes on God, your eyes are fixed on God, you can't help but live a life of love and worship and just praise, because he is so good, y'all. Okay, so this was Matthew 38 through 42. Y'all, I am so excited to dive into this more with you. We are going to be going through verses and sometimes just breaking down the Bible more, because I know when I was first starting out, I was always like, where do I even begin? And I just want to make this practical for you so you can connect with Jesus and live a more God-centered life. So thank you for tuning in to the Truth Bible Study. I hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you so much for tuning in. God bless you. I hope you have a beautiful day. I'll see you next time.